Guess who's back?
I don't need an altar cue. I'm here because I believe in what I believe in. Our politics isn't working. You've heard these pathetic arguments tonight between the two big parties. Really, there isn't much difference. But electorally, Labour are going to win. The debate is who forms the opposition in the next parliament? Who fights for the rights of ordinary British people? Who fights to control our borders? Who fights for men and women running small businesses? Reform UK is about to become a political phenomenon, an historic one. So I urge you, join the revolt.
Welcome to the Don't Get So Emotional podcast. This episode, we're going to be talking about Nigel Farage and the Reform UK vote with the upcoming election this Thursday. So, Tom, what do you make of the Reform UK and the whole everything that's going on?
I quite like Nigel Farage for the same reason I like Trump. I mean, like I said, I don't know anything about US politics, and I'm not going to claim to know everything about UK politics either.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
You know, a lot of people hate Nigel Farage, but I think he's just a straight talker, and he just says the things that most people are thinking that are just too scared to say.
We are real people. We believe in ourselves. We believe in our country. We believe in our future. But we also believe in having fun and enjoying life and being optimistic about the future of our great country.
I quite like him. And it seems like he might be, doing well, might actually be able to become the opposition. So
I'll give you my take on Nigel Farage. So I'll tell you a story about Nigel Farage. So I worked for a company and we sponsored an event and he was invited as a guest speaker. And a lot of the people that were going to the event were not very happy that Nigel Farage was going. So anyway, he went along and he gave his talk. This was post-Brexit, okay? And he totally won the crowd over. By the end of it, people were saying, actually, no, he's a nice guy, and they actually liked him. The following days, in one of the national papers, they had a picture of him with one of the organisers of the event, and the headline was something like, Nigel, who you with here? And every single person that was at that event knows that that was the organiser of the event. And it was just like, that just shows you the way that the media, mainstream press, will just lie.
what did they mean?
They were implying
What
that
did
he
they
was
mean?
having, I don't know what, they were implying something dodgy was going on. It was just weird.
Right.
It was weird. And
What annoys me about people that don't like Nigel Farage is that they don't actually listen to anything he says or watch anything he does. Like, they just hear something secondhand and make their assumptions that way, and it really annoys me because to me he's a down-to-earth normal bloke, and like I said, he's just willing to say the things that most people are thinking.
I'm not afraid of standing up and fighting for what I believe in, whatever names they call me.
I saw on a political thing, they said to the politicians, put your hands up, everyone who thinks immigration is too high, and everyone put their hand up. Angela Rayner, everyone put their hands up. So no one's got a problem with the actual fact that, there are too many people coming in illegally. I got sent in the post my leaflet, okay, and it's only 4 pledges on the leaflet, which is stop the boats, make work pay, zero waiting lists, and freeze immigration. Okay, and my local candidate is a guy called Dennis Saunders. But I think in 4 weeks that they've been running, they've done amazing well. I mean, on Thursday I saw they did a meeting, and there's like 1,000 people on a Thursday. And today, this is being filmed on Sunday, he's actually doing an event at the NEC. It's absolutely packed. And if you go on Twitter, there's people saying they haven't sold any tickets, and you just think, you're deluded. deluded. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, they'll try and discredit him in any way they can. I saw that there was recently something to do with an actor that was purporting to be a part of the Reform Party or a voter,
yeah,
a supporter of the Reform Party.
yeah.
And
Well,
it turns out he
I'm
was an
glad you
actor.
mentioned that. Actually, it was a Channel 4 program, and it was the same reporter that did another hit piece on Nigel Farage.
A so-called Reform UK activist turns up in the Clacton office last Saturday, goes out with an undercover, apparently, Channel 4 news team, and makes a series of very, very racist, derogatory remarks. I mean, I watched this stuff. I thought, this is just so over the top. No one speaks like this. This is like an Alf Garnett comedy sketch going back 50 years. And yet, overnight, we found out that the guy is an actor. So we called him this morning. The Daily Telegraph called him this morning. He denied being an actor. After a short period of time, he admitted to other media outlets that he was an actor. And then we found his own website, where he speaks and advertises his services for adverts, for acting, whatever else it may be. And he describes himself as being very well spoken, but he has an alter ego. He can do what he calls rough talk. We've also discovered over the course of the day that on another website, he advertises his services for doing undercover filming. I mean, you literally, this is like Netflix. What I do know is that this is a stitch up on the most astonishing scale. And think about it. An activist for a party, not a candidate who holds no position whatsoever, makes the front page of the Times newspaper. The Prime Minister responds to say how awful he feels for his two daughters about this racist remarks that were made about his family. Folks, this is the biggest stitch up I've ever seen in my life. And I bet you there's even more we're going to find out. Even more will come out over the course of the next couple of days.
Richard Tice has put a complaint into the Electoral Commission because it's actually affecting, if that program is going to turn people off, and it's it could be election interference, couldn't it? I mean, there's lots of rules about what you can and can't do at election. You can't, for example, a radio broadcaster cannot mention any political parties on election day. Did you know that? So if you listen to any talk shows, they can't talk about politics on Thursday.
The thing that annoys me, right, is the way they get past, looking like they're leaning towards a particular party, is they'll invite all of them on. So they can then say, no, we invited everyone on and gave everyone a fair share of, airtime.
If you watch the BBC, listen to it, or any of the other broadcasters, and I include in this ITV, GB News, Channel 4, some days you literally wouldn't know that Reform were lying second geographically in most of the country. Why is this? Well, I'll tell you. The regulator of broadcasters in Britain is Ofcom. Ofcom Aquango, stuffed full of establishment types. And the rules they've given broadcasters are very simple. They say whilst they should take into account the current level of opinion polls, the main determinant of how much coverage each party gets is their performance in the last two elections. Well, Reform UK is brand new. We've never contested a national election before. And because of that, the coverage we're allocated is 8%. We are getting the same level of coverage as the Green Party, despite the fact we're polling more than 3 times their number.
They're meant to be impartial, and the interviews I've seen with Nigel Farage at the BBC are just so biased, and they're constantly trying to get a gotcha moment, and he just rolls with the punches and just doesn't take the bait.
But this is the thing. I mean, it's outrageous that someone polling at time neck and neck at the very least with the Tories and above the Lib Dems should not be invited on that show, isn't it? Is that a clear evidence of BBC bias?
I think, I'm not sure if it's BBC bias. I certainly think it's BBC stupidity.
Like, I think he made a comment about Rishi Sunak saying that he doesn't get our culture. So they jumped on him for that, saying, what do you mean our culture? And he was
Yeah.
saying, well, he's one of the richest men in the country. Like, he couldn't
Yeah.
possibly.
They
be
have to
able relate with
automatically
the
equate
normal
it to
working
colour.
man. So, automatically they try to equate it to racism. Immigration doesn't mean that you're, worrying about immigration doesn't mean that you're a racist. It's like, if you had 10 people living in your house and just more and more people kept living in your house, you'd be like, we ain't got enough bloody room. We ain't got enough resources. We haven't got enough food. Like, you have to start thinking like that.
I saw Question
Yeah, go on.
Time, and I mean, to me, it looked like a hit piece. I mean, the very first person came out and just him, and it turned out that a lot of the people that were on it were either working for the BBC or were, they've all got what's the word? They've all got an axe to grind, and I think, Nigel will actually go on TV and he will actually, if you ask him a question, he answers it.
Just agreeing is not enough. We have to restructure. We have to build an organisation across this country that has branches and has roots. We have to mobilise. We have to organise. Once we've done that, we'll be able to energise. I know there is a silent majority of people out there that in their hearts feel the same way as we do. This is but the first step of a very big and a very important journey. And I'd say to all of you, please, don't just agree, join us, help us, spread the message, do what you can.
I think it's interesting to look at the history of him because he started in the European Parliament and he had some very fiery discussions.
You appear to have a loathing for the very concept of the existence of nation states. Perhaps that's because you come from Belgium, which of course is pretty much a non-country. But since you took over, we've seen Greece reduced to nothing more than a protectorate. Sir, you have no legitimacy in this job at all, and I can say with confidence that I can speak on behalf of the majority of the British people in saying, we don't know you, we don't want you, and the sooner you're put out to grass, the better.
And obviously he was in the jungle as well, and I think he did quite well. And I was looking at his social media platform on TikTok. He's got millions of views.
Yeah.
On YouTube,
crazy.
he's got millions of views. Twitter, X, should I say? He's got loads of subscribers. If you compare Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak, they've got no presence at all. It's kind of like they don't understand social media. They don't understand how it works. And I think that could be a big part of why they're doing so well.
Yeah, look, I understand why there are people out there that don't like him, right? And it is because he does focus on immigration. He'll use every opportunity to talk about immigration. I think that the reason why people don't like him is because they think, why is he constantly going on about immigration? Why isn't he talking about any other issues?
I buy a few papers because I like to keep up to date, and one of them is that, okay, the Daily Mail, okay, and they have headline is Boris Johnson. There's a big story about Joe Biden. We're going to be talking about that in a future episode. Okay, so let me just find this. Okay, there's a big piece on the nation doesn't want Keir Starmer or his tax hiking, EU loving migration agenda. There's time to swerve Starmageddon. Yeah, he loves all that. But anyway, I will get there. Let me get this. Right, look at this. I thought this was interesting. They've got a 2-page advert in the Daily Mail, and it says, "Dear voter, the corrupt Conservative Party has lost its soul. The old parties have broken Britain. That's why support for UK Reform UK has surged. For once, your vote won't be wasted. This is a real chance to use it. Hit back hard at the establishment. I'm ready to lead the opposition. Talk of a Labour supermajority doesn't scare me. I took on the European Union. I took on the big banks. I believe I can stand up to a Labour government. Something remarkable is happening out there. If you love your country, vote with your heart. Vote with." I thought that was amazing. That appeared in a newspaper that is 100% backing the Conservatives. Just one other thing I wanted to add. Well, I was out and about, and I met one of their candidates from Epsom, which I'm going to show on the screen now. And he was a really nice guy, and we had a good conversation. And I will be voting Reform. Okay, I'm sick to death of the Conservatives. I have voted Conservative in the past. I'm sick to death of what they haven't achieved. They're lying. The fact that they're fighting in the party, I don't trust them. So I'm voting Reform. Well, are you going to talk about who you're going to vote for? Don't say Joe Biden.
No.
There you go.
I'll probably vote for Reform as well, because they align more with what I think affects me. And I mean, whether they end up achieving it or not, I mean, look, the best outcome they can hope for at the moment is to become the opposition. And if they, have any influence on what goes on, if that happens, then, I love the fact that they're kind of pushing for, what was it, up to 20 grand tax allowance.
Yeah, that's a fantastic one, isn't it? But 20 grand, you don't pay tax until you've got. Let's have a look. Hang on, the 4 pledges they've got: stop the boats, make work pay, zero waiting lists, freeze immigration. I think the most interesting thing for me is seeing how the mainstream media are going for Nigel and the rest of the team so badly.
Well, you know what? You only start taking flak, as they used to say in Bomber Command in World War II, when you're getting near the target, and we're getting near the target. The establishment are literally terrified of us. Terrified, not just of us breaking into Parliament and getting a bridgehead, not just terrified of me being the voice of opposition to a very weak Starmer government, which it will be, and hey, the divided Conservatives couldn't possibly provide anything like that. What they're really scared of is what I've said: over the next 5 years, I intend to build a mass movement of millions across this country for real change. And they know that I could do it.
Honestly, people really need to stop paying attention to mainstream media and the papers. You should stop getting the information from around the world from those sources, because they are trying to manipulate you. They are trying to get you to swing one way or the other. You should make up your own mind, get all the facts. And if someone's accused of something, or, a paper is zoning in on something that was said or done, or whatever, go and actually find out what was said or done. If it's on film, if there's an actual proper source that you can go to find out what really happened, because 9 times out of 10, they're lying, or they're exaggerating it, or they're, painting it in a completely different way that suits them.
Everything about British politics, the electoral system, the parties, the media, is designed for nothing to change. Starmer taking over from Sunak, that's not a change of government, it's a change of management. And all the deep-seated problems that we face will continue, and in fact probably get worse. What we're about is a strong, positive vision for this country, its future, the way we educate our kids, to give people a chance to get off benefits and go to work and be better off, to genuinely control our borders, to leave the ECHR, to stop people literally taking the mickey out of this country, to stop the population explosion that is going on through mass migration and devaluing everyone's life. We have got a radical plan to change this country for the better. And you know what? The vested interests want to stop us.
Like, I've realised that since I've been an adult, it's so obvious to me. I mean, I know that this is a separate thing and we will do a separate video on it, but the mainstream media trying to paint Biden as, good as gold,
he's got a cold,
fully, there's
cognitive,
nothing wrong with him.
He's got a bit of a cold.
Right,
we're going to be talking about Mr. Biden on a future episode. So to wrap up, I've been very impressed with the campaign that I've seen Reform have done. I think the Tories deservedly will be wiped out this election. I think the Labour government will come in. I'm pretty scared what they're going to do. I've got no faith in Keir Starmer at all. And let's find out what you people think. What do you think about the upcoming election? What do you think about Nigel Farage? Now, we're going to get a mixture of comments and we will allow them. That's what we do. We don't like all the abuse that we get, well, particularly Tom. So keep your comments nice, please. And this is a fantastic time to say, please subscribe to the channel. We're a very new channel. We try and do interesting content. We try and edit the videos and make it so it's interesting for you. We've got lots of subscribers. Lots of people seem to like what we do, but you know, we'd love more so we can create more videos. So if you like what we do, share the show with your friends, subscribe and leave a comment.
Out the right way or not?
Of course you're bloody not. Sort my lights out. It's gonna be green. All right.
Right, am I the
I'm happy about that. Right,
is mine?
Carleen, I can see your foot, Carleen. Can you get that? Can you get that foot out? Tom,
Special guest.
Tom, do you want to make the special announcements to viewers of the show or not?
God, Carleen's pregnant.
Oh, Tom, you're not looking at the camera. Thank you.
Hang on. If I move, oh no, now I've swapped it around. How do I move you? Oh, there you go. If I put you there,
Stop moving me.
does it look like?
Can I just say this is a first for the channel. We're doing a daytime. Normally we do it at night, which is why, and we've stopped doing it. We used to, if you check the earlier videos, I was always drinking wine, and we ended up saying, well, I certainly ended up saying half cup by the end of it. Most of this, most of the thing is us getting set up.
I know. That's why
You do
I
know
know you
that?
start recording. But...
People don't realise.
Right. Well, let's get going.
Looking this way.
Okay, I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
But
you're
I
over
can't
there.
help but look at myself as well.
Yeah, but don't. You're so vain.